Yo, how's it going? Back in the video, and today I'm going to be talking about what does the Joel Embiid injury mean to the Philadelphia 76ers. As if you haven't been living under a rock lately and you've been keeping up with the NBA playoffs, everyone and their mom would know that Joel Embiid has a broken orbital bone that he suffered in the Toronto Raptors series on the very last game in one of the final minutes of the final game, and he got injured. Now he will be missing at least 2 games going into this series. So this has been one of the biggest things, probably the biggest storyline of the playoffs to this point, and it's really been riddled with injuries altogether. I mean, there's been injuries to stars everywhere in these playoffs, and unfortunately Joel Embiid is the next one in line. So I'm beginning to what I think this could mean for the Miami Heat series coming up for the Philadelphia 76ers, and I'm just going to get over all what I think this injury is going to cause to happen with the 76ers organization. So if any of that does sound interesting to you, please hit the like button and subscribe button if you do like this video, and without further ado, without rambling on too much, let's get right into this video. So really the first thing that I want to get into for this video is going to be how I think it is going to impact the Miami Heat series that they are going to be playing against in round 2. Now, in no way, shape, or form am I in the crowd that says that the Philadelphia 76ers now stand 0 chance to win this series. I could see Embiid missing this entire series, and I would still give the 76ers probably a 40 to 30% chance of winning this second round series against the Miami Heat. And I know the Miami Heat are the 1 seed, and the Philadelphia 76ers are the lower seed. And even with Embiid, that they were technically the underdog, but in my opinion, they just weren't, because they didn't have the whole year of James Harden. And the Philadelphia 76ers with Embiid, in my opinion, were most definitely the better team. But even this 76ers team without Joel Embiid, who is an MVP level player, is still a very, very scary team, and they will give you a chance to beat anyone on any given night. As if you really look at this starting lineup, that they're still going to be able to roll out even without Embiid. They're still going to have Tyrese Maxey, who's playing outstanding so far in the playoffs and is playing like one of the best point guards in the entire playoffs through round 1, as he in the first round averaged 21 points per game, 5 assists per game, 5 rebounds per game, on 40% shooting from the 3-point line and 51% shooting from the field. So Tyrese Maxey is already pretty much inserting himself into one of those more elite scorers in the entire NBA, and especially in this year's playoffs. And then you still look at it, they still have adequate star talent for a playoff team. They have Tobias Harris, who was a former All-Star. That dude can play at an All-Star level, so he is definitely a star level player. And then obviously they have James Harden, who, if plays like James Harden, can take over a game and even a series at any given moment. That is how good James Harden is. Now, he hasn't really shown that since joining the 76ers, but he most definitely still has the potential to do something like that. So anytime you can still have a big 3 of Tyrese Maxey, who's a great scorer and just always going to be a threat no matter where he's at, James Harden, who's just an absolute bucket and can take over any games and pretty much win you a game completely by himself if he wants to, and then another former All-Star in Tobias Harris, that is a legit big 3 that can compete with this Miami Heat team. Now, am I saying that they would be better than the Miami Heat or that they would win the series? I'm not saying that, but they can most definitely compete with them just from having that big 3. And then you add in the fact that they have Matisse Thybulle and Danny Green, 2 elite role players, by the way. Danny Green has been on multiple championship teams. He knows what it takes to win in these games. He's always going to be solid for you, and he's going to give you exactly what you need. And Matisse Thybulle is legitimately one of the best perimeter defenders in today's NBA. Now, although Matisse can't score that much, he makes up for it greatly on the defensive end. So it's not like without Embiid, this team is going to be horrible and that they just stand no chance against Miami. Now, am I saying the lack of Embiid, though, is not going to cause any problems? Definitely not. I'm definitely not saying that. Bam Adebayo, at least for the first 2 games that James Harden is guaranteed to miss, is going to be a problem. It's going to be very hard for the 76ers to have anyone that can answer Bam Adebayo on the defensive or offensive ends, because they don't have another dominant big man now that Embiid is going to be out. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Doc Rivers kind of tries to coach around Bam Adebayo, but I don't think Jimmy Butler is going to be that big of a problem. Now, obviously, Jimmy Butler is Jimmy Butler. He's going to get his buckets. He's going to score. That's just because of how good of a player he is. He's going to play great defense. But I don't think with a guy like Matisse on him, Jimmy Butler is going to just completely torch them on every possession. Now, obviously, like I said, he's a superstar. He's going to score no matter who is guarding him. But Matisse Thybulle, I think, can do more than a good enough job to do it. And James Harden, if he is playing like James Harden that we know he can be, can also cancel out Jimmy Butler's offense. And then Tobias Harris could be an X factor for this, and just so many things could go the 76ers way. But like I said, obviously without Embiid, a lot more problems do come, such as the Bam Adebayo one. Now that he becomes just that much harder to guard. Bam Adebayo is already a great player, and now you take away your best big man and one of the best big men in the league that we're going to be guarding him. It's going to make Bam Adebayo way more effective than he would have been if Embiid played this entire series. And to make things even kind of a little bit better, he's only guaranteed to miss 2 games, and they can very legitimately split one of those 2 games at the Miami Heat Stadium. And if he only misses 2 games and it's 1-1 when he comes back, or even if it's 0-2, he can still very much turn this thing around, and the 76ers can win this series. So if he only misses 2, 3, and maybe even 4 games, and he can come back before the series is over, I think for sure that the 76ers could still win this series, and I think there's a chance that they could win this series even without Embiid. Now, it's going to be very hard, and I don't think they would do it without Embiid, but I do think it is very possible. That's just how good the 76ers roster is built, and I think this Heat series is going to be much closer than a lot of people think with Embiid or without him. And overall, I just think that there could be a little bit of an overreaction to this injury. And now that's hard to say because obviously it is going to have a huge impact on this series. One of the MVP candidates is no longer going to be playing in a playoff series. I know how much that impacts this series, and I understand the reaction people are having, and obviously it's going to make it harder on the 76ers, but I don't think it's going to make it so hard to the point to where they stand 0 chance, and I think the people saying that they're going to get swept or that they just stand no chance, those people are kind of overreacting and not giving the 76ers credit for how well of a roster they have put together. But now the next thing I want to get in this video is not pretty much how I think the Embiid thing is going to affect the 76ers. I just have a bone to pick with Doc Rivers, dog. I was fine with Embiid being in the game at first because I'm not even a 76ers fan in any way. I don't like James Harden. I'm not a 76ers fan, and I think Nikola Jokic is the MVP. So, like, in no way do I have bias to this 76ers team. But, dog, Doc Rivers, what was that response? His response to why Embiid was still in the game with 3 minutes left when you're up 21 points in the final game of the series against Toronto in the first round was that the Toronto Raptors still had their starters in. Why does that matter about who you have in the game? The Toronto Raptors obviously are going to keep their starters in the entire game, or in at least the entire fourth quarter, because they have nothing to lose. If someone gets hurt, they have a whole offseason to recover him. If someone on your team gets hurt, like Joel Embiid, your superstar MVP, who is making your team a legit finals contender right now, if he gets hurt, you have everything to lose. So the fact that you went on an interview and said the reason that you had your superstar level player in the game because Toronto had their starters in the game in a 21-point blowout with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter is insane. Like, why? Like, Doc Rivers, I like you as a coach, but dog, that is the worst answer you could have ever given. It makes no sense. So you're saying if you are up 40 points, but Toronto still had their starters in, and say it was the Western Conference or the Eastern Conference Finals, and you were up 40 points in a closeout game, but the other team kept their starters in. Are you keeping your starters in? No, because you're gonna keep them healthy for the finals. So why does it change from the first round to the second? Like, it makes 0 sense. That's just one of the most questionable decisions I've ever seen made ever. Now, I'm not ever for bashing a coach or blaming a coach, because the 76ers, their players should have played better, and that game should have never happened. They should have closed them out in 4 or 5 games before Game 6 ever happened. But the point still stands. In Game 6, Doc Rivers should have pulled Embiid, and the fact that he tried to defend it with that weak-ass excuse that he made is insane. And then he answered it like the reporters were stupid for asking the question. Like, it is insane that Doc Rivers is even defending that decision that he made. Like, that's just crazy to me, and that's just a personal bone I had to pick with Doc Rivers. Like, I usually don't bash a coach, but Jesus Christ, that was a awful decision. But now with that rant being over with, that's pretty much going to be all that I want to get into for this video, and that's pretty much all the bases I wanted to cover. I just covered everything, like how I think it's going to affect the series, and I don't think it's going to affect the series in such a way that I don't think it's going to be an entertaining series. I think even if Embiid can't come back for the whole series, he is still going to be a very, very competitive and very fun series to watch, and I think for sure the 76ers will still have a chance to move on past this round, even if Embiid doesn't come back. Now, do I think it's likely? Like I said earlier, not really, but it is very much a possibility, and I think it's going to be entertaining and competitive, none but less. And then also, Doc Rivers just made a stupid decision, and then he made an even dumber comment trying to defend it, and that was just dumb. But that's going to be it for this video. So comment below, do you agree with me? Do you think the 76ers still have a chance? How do you think the Embiid injury is going to affect them? I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. If you do like the video, hit the like button, subscribe button, and the absolute word to me. All glory to God. Hope you have a blessed day. God bless you. You have a blessed day. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah.